Vanillaware is back at it again with a game called Odin Leifthrasir. So this is a game that's not a new game, but it's more of a remake of the original game called Odin on the PlayStation 2. This one is like a remake of the game. They've done some things to kind of change the game up. We're looking at a new combat system and some way to play the game differently than from the old PS2 game.
For a Valkyrie to come alone to a place like this?
'Tis Odin's witch. Let us hear what she has to say.
So in Odin Leifthrasir, you play as 5 different characters that kind of intertwine with each other. Their stories kind of go in and out from different characters. You meet them, you battle them, you know, they kind of glaze over certain characters, and then you play throughout the game. So in the old PS2 Odin game, you play through, you know, a chapter of a character or two, and then you swap over to a different character. This one, you actually play through one character's whole story, and then you swap to the next one, and then you play through that character, and then you swap to the next one. It takes a little bit longer, but you play through pretty much. You get to know the character, you get to know, you know, the play style of the character, and then you kind of finish that. So that's the only problem I have was the fact that you kind of get to know your character, and then you kind of have to swap over to a different character. You lose all your abilities, you lose all your, you know, your levels. You kind of start out with a character kind of fresh in their beginning state of the game. So you start out level 1, and you lose all that. It's just kind of weird like that, and you go through a tutorial to learn the character. I think they should have probably stuck with the PS2 version. Kind of, you play through a little bit, you learn a little bit of the character, and then you swap to the next one. You learn a little bit of that, they move on to the next one. To me, I think that might have been better, but at the same time, it's cool that you actually get to stick with one character, learn the character's movesets and things like that to, you know, really make yourself kind of intertwine with the character, and then you kind of get booted to the next one. I feel that that's pretty okay too.
Mercedes, I shall entrust you with my precious bow. It will be your responsibility to protect the country while I am away.
Yes, Mother. I understand.
Gameplay-wise, Odin is a little bit different. It's a side-scroller that you move from stage to stage until you get to the boss, and then when you beat the boss, the story continues and then kicks you out to a different stage, and then you kind of go from stage to stage again. Each stage has a different like map, and you could go to a different part of the map, and you kind of just go around the map until you get to the boss again, and then you kind of move to a different stage again. So it's kind of like that. Battle wise, it is a beat 'em up. It's a side scroller. You move your character left and right. It does have RPG elements to the game. You know, hitting square lets you attack enemies, combo them up. Hitting circle lets you do your abilities. You could map different abilities, like for up in circle, down in circle, left in circle, and right in circle, and things like that for different abilities, combo, chain, and things like that. So I think that's pretty fantastic. You do also get a different array of items you can use. You got healing items, you got items that could buff you up, you got items that you could throw at enemies like burn and toxic, or blaze and toxic, that does DLT damage to the enemies. Like if you throw toxic at enemies, you could poison them, and then when they become poison, you know, it keeps hitting them until they die. It's a good way to fight bosses doing that. Using volcanic is probably my favorite item, because the fact that you throw it on the ground and it kind of goes throughout the map, it burns the ground, it goes throughout the map, you burn everything that's in its way, and at the same time you also cause a burn effect to them. So if they don't die from that, they probably will die from the burn effect. And then you also got different ways of healing yourself. You got your potions. You can also eat, and that's a good way to actually get EXP. The game is all about eating for EXP. Yes, you do get EXP for killing bosses, killing enemies, but that's not the way of doing it. The way of doing that is actually crafting items and eating them, or planting seeds and eating, you know, growing them and then eating the fruits that you get from them. You can also go to the Puka village to a chef, and they, you know, make items for you, that makes meals for you, that gives you probably the most EXP you can get from the game. The only problem with that is you actually have to use your coins that you get during the game. When you finish, you know, when you get chests and things like that, you get these coins you can spend at the Puka village. You also got a chef at the rest area that gives you whatever recipe you learn from the game, you get that in that chef. He actually comes out and actually cooks meals for you, so you have to have items on hand, materials on hand, cooking materials on hand to actually let the chef make those food for you. So Odin Leifthrasir has an awesome combo system. That to me is probably one of my favorite things about this game compared to the game that was released on the PS2. I love the combo system here. It looks flashy. You're flying through the air. You're doing combos. It's up in the hundreds. You do your combos, your normal combos with the square attack, and then you chain it with different abilities that you get throughout the game. It just looks so flashy. The only problem with that, it makes the game a little bit easy on the hands, so if anything, you have to bump it up too hard to give yourself a challenge when you're playing the game. But if you don't mind that, you want the story, that's all it is. The game is totally fine on normal. You can breeze through it. There's a few times when you get stuck on certain enemies, mostly when you get to these trial bosses that has 2 enemies that you have to fight, and you kind of juggle them. Other than that, some of the bosses at the end are a little bit easier than the mid bosses or mini bosses and things like that, so it's kind of weird like that. But to me, the game looks flashy, and I think that's what makes it looks cool. It's just colors flying everywhere, you're flying everywhere, enemies flying everywhere. It just looks fantastic. The artwork itself lends it well to the game too. It's more like a painting, kind of almost a watercolor painting, kind of splashed onto the screen. It looks fantastic. The voice work to me is on par. I mean, there's a few times where I think it's a little bit cringeworthy, but most of the time, about 90% of the time, the game has really well voice actors that pretty much delivers their line throughout the whole game. So to me, that looks cool. And the fact that it's, the soundtrack to the game is really well made too. So to me, I like that so much. But like I said, the game is a little bit easier on their side just because of the way the battle system is. So if you want to, turn down or turn up the difficulty, go ahead and go play in a hard mode. There's also the classic mode that you can play, which is the PS2 version. So you go through the game probably the same way, and then the game is probably a little bit tougher, because I remember playing it on the PS2. I found it a little bit tougher, mostly when you're in the beginning when you're playing as Gwendolyn, fighting against a dragon. That was tough on the PS2 version. I remember healing, jumping back. Right now it's pretty much just spam combos and it's dead. So that to me, I like that battle system better, but it is, like I said, a little bit easier on the with the new battle system. In the end, Leifthrasir is a well-packaged game. It comes with everything that I like: cool combos, cool combat, great artwork, great soundtrack, good voiceovers for the characters. It's just, to me, it's a fantastic game. I like it. It does get a little bit repetitive once you start playing more and more characters, because you're just going through a lot of the stages, and the battle system becomes a little bit easy. So that's the only thing I liked about that, is if you're playing the different characters, it does get a little bit boring at times because you've seen these stages. A lot of the stages the same, but the battle system is what makes it up for that, makes it flashy, keeps you on your toes. You're always flying, you're always looking cool. So that is it for my review for Leifthrasir.